Have you ever heard an American say, "I finally threw in the towel"? Did they literally throw a towel somewhere? Not at all. This is one of the most common idioms Americans use when talking about giving up after trying hard. And today I'll teach you what throw in the towel really means, where this expression comes from, how Americans use it in everyday conversations. We'll go over several real-life examples. We'll go over some common mistakes English learners make, and we will end with some pronunciation practice. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use this idiom naturally and confidently. Let's get started. So what does throw in the towel mean? When Americans say throw in the towel, they mean to stop trying because you believe you can't succeed anymore, or simply to give up after making an effort. Notice something important. This idiom doesn't describe someone who quits immediately. Usually, they've already tried. They've worked hard. They've struggled. And eventually they decide, I can't do this anymore. That's when they throw in the towel. For example, I studied for months, but I just couldn't pass the exam. I finally threw in the towel. Or, our business kept losing money. After 2 years, we threw in the towel. Notice that the decision usually comes after a long effort. Now, where does this idiom come from? This expression comes from boxing. Years ago, if a boxer was taking too much punishment, the coach would literally throw a towel into the boxing ring. Throwing in the towel meant the fighter can't continue. The fight was over. And today, we almost never use it literally. Instead, we use it to talk about everyday situations when someone decides to stop trying. Let's look at some real-life examples. Imagine a student that's learning English. They could say, I've been studying English for 3 years, but I still can't understand movies. I'm thinking about throwing in the towel. The friend says, don't do that, you've already improved so much. Here, the student wants to quit because learning feels difficult. Let's look at another example. Imagine starting a business. My sister opened a bakery. At first, business was great. Then, sales started dropping. She worked longer hours. She tried advertising. She changed the menu. Nothing worked. Finally, she threw in the towel and closed the bakery. She didn't quit on the first bad day. She kept trying before making the difficult decision. Imagine now a home renovation. Someone could say, my husband and I thought we could renovate our kitchen ourselves. Everything went wrong. We installed the cabinets incorrectly. The plumbing leaked. The floor wasn't level. After 3 weeks of frustration, we threw in the towel and hired professionals. Now, as you'll notice in this example here, sometimes throwing in the towel isn't a bad thing. Sometimes it's actually the smartest decision. Another example, I spent 4 hours trying to solve the puzzle. I looked at every piece, I tried everything. Finally, I threw in the towel. Sometimes you've simply reached your limit. You'll often hear Americans say things like, I'm ready to throw in the towel. I almost threw in the towel. He finally threw in the towel. They're thinking about throwing in the towel. Notice something here. Sometimes people say they're ready to throw in the towel, but they don't actually quit. For example, I'm so tired of this project. I'm ready to throw in the towel. As you can see in this example, many times we just use it to express frustration. You might actually end up continuing to work the next day. So, 3 mistakes that I want you to avoid. The first one, to say, I threw the towel. This isn't correct. Remember, this is an idiom and we must respect the structure. It's going to be throw in the towel. Mistake number 2, using it when someone quits immediately. Imagine this. You start exercising today. After 5 minutes, you stop. Most Americans probably wouldn't say you threw in the towel. Why? Because you barely tried. This idiom usually suggests there was real effort before before giving up. Mistake number 3 is using it for tiny, everyday decisions. So for example, we would not say, I threw in the towel because I couldn't decide what movie to watch. This idiom is going to be used for something more significant or challenging. Now, let's work on your pronunciation. I want you to remember with that TH, you're going to place your tongue slightly between your top and bottom teeth. Repeat after me. Throw in the towel. Throw in the towel. Throw in the towel. In the past, we would say, threw in the towel. Threw in the towel. Threw in the towel. For more idioms in English, check out this video.